Marcus yelled, slamming the divorce papers onto the kitchen table. "You're being selfish. My mother is dying, and you won't even get tested to see if you're a match." I gripped the counter, trying to stay calm. I never thought my marriage would end like this, over my decision not to donate a kidney to my mother-in-law, Diana. "Marcus, please try to understand," I started, but he cut me off. "Understand what, Julia? That you're letting my mother die because you're too scared? Too selfish?" His face was red with anger. "She welcomed you into this family, and this is how you repay her." "Welcomed me?" I almost laughed. Diana had spent the last 8 years criticizing everything about me, my cooking, my job, even my marriage, but that wasn't why I couldn't donate. "Sign the papers," he demanded. "If you won't help my mother, I want nothing to do with you." My hands shook as I picked up the pen. I could tell him the truth right now, explain why I couldn't donate. But would it even matter? He had already chosen her over me, like always. "Fine," I said quietly, signing my name. "I hope you and Diana will be very happy together." He grabbed the papers and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. As soon as he was gone, I sank to the floor, finally letting the tears fall. My name is Julia Chen, and 3 months ago I was diagnosed with early-stage kidney cancer. The same day Diana found out she needed a transplant, I was scheduling my own surgery to remove a tumor. I hadn't told anyone, not even Marcus. We had been trying for a baby, and I knew the news would crush him. I planned to tell him after surgery, once I had more answers. But then Diana got sick, and suddenly, everything was about her. At Sunday dinner a few weeks ago, Diana had smiled sweetly. "Julia, dear, you're young and healthy. Surely you'd be willing to help your mother-in-law?" Marcus had immediately agreed. "Of course she will, Mom. Julia knows how important family is." I nearly choked on my wine. Family? Diana had done everything she could to ruin our marriage. She even tried to set Marcus up with someone else last Christmas, right in front of me. Now, sitting on my kitchen floor, I picked up my phone and called my doctor. "Hi, this is Julia Mitchell. Can we move my surgery up? My circumstances have changed." The next few days were a blur of packing and making arrangements. I took a leave from work, telling everyone it was for elective surgery. Marcus didn't come home. He was probably at his mother's, letting her turn him against me. His sister Emma, the only person in his family who had ever been kind to me, called me in tears. "Julia, please reconsider. Mom is getting worse, and Marcus is falling apart. Just get tested. Maybe you won't even be a match." I gripped the phone. "Emma, I can't. I'm sorry, but there are things you don't know." She hesitated. "What things?" "Julia, whatever Mom has done. It's not about her," I said. I can't. Please trust me." There was a long pause. "You're hiding something," she said softly. "I can hear it in your voice." I ended the call before I broke down. Emma had always defended me, but this was my health, my choice. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. The night before my surgery, Marcus showed up. He looked awful, unshaven, exhausted. "Mom's doctor says she has maybe 6 months without a transplant," he said. "This is her last chance, Julia. How can you be so heartless?" I stood in the doorway, not letting him in. "I'm not heartless, Marcus. I literally can't donate. Can't or won't." He snapped. "Forget it. I just came to get the rest of my things. The divorce will be final in 3 months. As he walked past me, I caught the scent of his mother's perfume on his shirt. Of course, he'd been staying with her, letting her comfort him over his selfish wife. Part of me wanted to tell him everything about the cancer, the surgery, the fear I had been carrying alone. But the words wouldn't come. Let him think I was selfish. Let him leave. At least then, I wouldn't have to watch him put his mother first while I fought my own battle. My surgery was scheduled for tomorrow morning. The doctor was hopeful, but there were no guarantees. I would face this alone, just like I had faced everything else since Diana came into our lives. As Marcus carried boxes to his car, I wondered if he even noticed I was gone. Would he be too busy taking care of his mother to realize his soon-to-be ex-wife had disappeared for weeks of recovery? The last thing he picked up was our wedding album. He stared at it for a long moment before dropping it into the donation pile on the curb. "Goodbye, Julia," he said coldly, not looking at me. "I hope you can live with your choice." If only he knew. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beep of monitors and the soft footsteps of nurses. 2 weeks had passed since my surgery, and now the pathology results were finally in. Dr. Peterson stood at the foot of my bed, flipping through my chart. The surgery was successful, Julia. We removed the tumor and the surrounding tissue. Your margins are clear, she smiled. But I still recommend targeted therapy just to make sure we've eliminated any remaining cancer cells. Relief flooded through me. How long will the treatment take? 6 to 8 weeks. You'll need to rest and focus on recovery. She hesitated. Have you thought about telling your family? Support is important during treatment. Family. The word felt empty now. Marcus hadn't reached out since he moved out. Emma had left messages, but I hadn't answered. How could I explain my absence without telling the full truth? I'll be fine on my own, I said. I've hired a home health nurse to help me recover. Just then, I heard a commotion outside. A familiar voice, Emma's, arguing with a nurse. I know she's here. I saw her name on the surgery schedule. Please, I need to see my sister-in-law. My stomach dropped. Emma worked in the medical field. Of course she might have seen my name. I should have used my maiden name. Before I could react, Emma burst into my room. She froze, taking in the IVs, my pale face, the hospital bed. Julia, her voice shook. Oh my God, what's wrong? Why are you in the oncology ward? Dr. Peterson glanced at me. I nodded, giving her permission to speak. There was no point hiding it anymore. Mrs. Mitchell had a partial nephrectomy, Dr. Peterson explained gently. We removed a tumor from her kidney. Emma's hands flew to her mouth. Kidney cancer? But Mom needs a transplant, and you? Her eyes widened as she put the pieces together. You couldn't donate because you had cancer. Tears welled in my eyes. I found out the same day Deanna announced she needed a kidney. I was going to tell Marcus after my surgery, but everything happened so fast. Emma rushed to my bedside, carefully wrapping her arms around me. Why didn't you tell us? Why did you let Marcus think you were being selfish? I wiped my face with a tissue. Would it have mattered? He already chose Diana over me. If he knew I had cancer, he'd only feel guilty, and Diana would still make it about her. But he's divorcing you over this. He thinks you refused out of spite. Maybe that's easier, I said quietly. I couldn't be the donor he wanted. I couldn't be the perfect daughter-in-law Diana expected. At least this way, he doesn't have to feel responsible for me. Emma sat on the edge of my bed, struggling to take it all in. Julia, he needs to know. Mom needs to know. This changes everything. I shook my head. Diana still needs a kidney, and I still can't give her one. Nothing's changed except now you know why. But. Please, Emma, I interrupted. I'm starting treatment soon. I need to focus on getting better, not dealing with Marcus and Diana. Promise me you won't tell them. She hesitated, torn. Finally, she sighed. Fine. But I'm not leaving you to handle this alone. I'm staying to help whether you like it or not. True to her word, Emma was by my side for the next few weeks. She took time off work, drove me to appointments, made sure I ate properly, and sat with me during treatments. One afternoon, as we lounged in my living room watching movies, my phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. Mom's getting worse. The doctors say she needs the transplant soon. I hope you're happy with your decision. Emma glanced at the screen and snatched the phone from my hands. That's it, I'm telling him. No. I tried to grab it back, but the sudden movement sent pain through my side. I gasped, and Emma's anger softened. Look at you, she said gently. You're recovering from surgery, and he's making you feel guilty for something you physically can't do. This isn't fair, Julia. Life isn't fair, I said, thinking about everything that had led us here. But I made my choice. I need to deal with this on my own terms. Emma huffed. You and Marcus are both impossible. No wonder you got along so well. Despite everything, I laughed. It felt good to laugh, to have someone who understood. Later that night, after Emma left, I stared at the divorce papers on my coffee table. In less than a month, my marriage would be over. Marcus would be free to focus on his mother, never knowing how close he came to having 2 sick women in his life instead of 1. I touched my healing incision, thinking about the road ahead. The cancer might be gone, but recovery would take time. Treatment would be tough. But somehow, I felt stronger than I had in years. I didn't need Marcus's guilt. I didn't need Diana's manipulation. I had Emma, my own resilience, and a future that, while uncertain, was still mine to face. The truth would come out eventually. Secrets like this always did. But when it did, I'd be ready. The truth came out sooner than I expected. 6 weeks into my treatment, I ran into Marcus at the hospital. I was leaving my oncologist's office when I saw him step out of the elevator, looking down at his phone. He walked right past me at first, then stopped suddenly and turned around. His eyes widened. "Julia?" I froze. I knew I looked different, thinner, paler, my hair not as full. I wore a loose sweater to hide the port in my chest, but there was no hiding the signs of illness. "What are you? Why are you here?" His gaze flicked to the sign. "Oncology department." His face went pale. Before I could answer, Dr. Peterson stepped out of her office. "Julia, don't forget your scan is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll review the results next week to see how your treatment is working." Marcus took a step back like someone had hit him. "Treatment? Julia, what's going on?" "I should go," I said, trying to walk past him. He gently caught my arm. "Please, I need to understand." I looked at his hand, remembering how easily you let me go before. "Now you want to understand? Not when you were divorcing me or calling me selfish." His voice was shaky. "Emma told Mom everything yesterday about your cancer, your surgery, why you couldn't donate. I came here today because I needed to see if it was true." So Emma had told them. I should have known she wouldn't keep it a secret forever. "Well, now you know," I said. "You can go back to Diana with a clear conscience." "Julia, wait." His eyes were full of tears. "Why didn't you tell me? I'm your husband." "Soon-to-be ex-husband," I corrected. "And I didn't tell you because you already made your choice. You chose Diana. Like always." He ran a hand through his hair, something he always did when he was overwhelmed. "I didn't know. All this time, I thought you were being selfish, but you were actually fighting cancer alone." "Not alone," I said. "Emma has been helping me." He let out a bitter laugh. "Emma knew before I did. Your own husband. You gave up the right to know when you threw away our marriage over a kidney I couldn't give," I said firmly. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to rest before my scan." I walked away, leaving him standing there. But this time, I was the one choosing to leave. The next week brought changes I never expected. Diana was the first to reach out. She sent me a letter, written in her neat but shaky handwriting. "Dear Julia, I owe you an apology, not just for demanding your kidney, but for how I've treated you all these years. Learning about your cancer made me realize how selfish I've been. I found another possible donor, so please focus on your recovery. You don't need to carry any guilt or pressure from us. With regret, Diana." Emma later confirmed it. "She actually cried, Julia," she said, shaking her head. "I've never seen her cry before." Meanwhile, Marcus stopped sending angry texts about Diana's health. Instead, he sent one short message. "I'm sorry. Please let me make this right." I didn't reply. I had 3 more weeks of treatment left, and my health came first. But Marcus didn't give up. He started showing up at my treatment sessions, just sitting quietly in the waiting room. He never forced a conversation. He just waited, in case I wanted to talk. After my last treatment, he was there again. This time, I was too exhausted to ignore him. "Why are you here, Marcus?" He met my eyes. "Because this is where I should have been all along." His voice was soft. "I failed you, Julia. I failed our marriage. I was so focused on Mom that I didn't see you needed me too." I sighed and sat down beside him. "It's not just about the cancer. It's about how you've always put Diana first. How I always felt like I had to handle everything alone." He nodded, his eyes full of regret. "I know. Mom and I had a long talk after Emma told us everything. She admitted how she treated you, how she manipulated me. She's even getting counseling. Not that it excuses what I did. No, it doesn't." "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he said quietly. "I just want to be here for you now, in whatever way you'll let me. Even if it's just as a friend." I looked at him properly for the first time in months. He seemed different, quieter, more present than he had been in years. "I have a scan next week," I said finally. "They'll tell me if the treatment worked." He waited, saying nothing. "You can come if you want," I said, "but just to the waiting room." His smile was small but sincere. "Thank you. That's more than I deserve." As I left the hospital that day, I felt lighter. Not because I'd forgiven Marcus. That would take time. Maybe it would never happen. but I had finally put myself first. The future was still uncertain. My marriage might be over, or it might heal. Diana might change, or she might not. The cancer might be gone, or it might return. But one thing was different now. I knew my worth. I wouldn't settle for less. Not from Marcus, not from Diana, not from anyone. Sometimes, losing everything is what it takes to truly find yourself.